compassionately caring for all of ourselves unconditionally. That means regardless of what's happening around us. You don't earn self-care. You don't deserve a break. You require rest in order to function properly.
You're listening to the Brave OT podcast with me, Carlin Meek. This podcast is all about empowering occupational therapists to step up, level up, blaze some trails, and maybe engage in a little conscious rebellion in service of our profession, our clients, our work, our businesses, and living our mission wholeheartedly. We are all about keeping it real, doing hard things, unhustling, being curious, exploring, growing through our challenges, and finding joy, fulfillment, and vitality as we do so. Really, we're OTing ourselves and each other. I hope you love this episode.
As OTs and natural carers, we've spent the vast majority of our years learning how to take care of others. We're excellent at anticipating, observing, analyzing, and providing for the needs of others. As a small footnote, almost an afterthought with limited support. We're also advised to take care of ourselves. How do we shift perspective so that our self-care is an essential precursor for being a good carer, rather than the thing we do half-heartedly if there's a little bit of time left over? My intention here is to inspire OTs to turn things upside down. The conditioning we receive predisposes us to burnout. I would like OTs to see that we need to shift our fundamental beliefs around self-care and self-compassion to make it a constant companion and essential component underpinning our occupational choices and not just another thing we should add to the very full to-do list. Recently, I was asked to give a talk to a group of UK OTs about self-care. I love to talk to OTs, but I have to admit there was a bit of a worn-out, sort of gentle, tired resistance to the topic of self-care. Fundamentally, I absolutely know we need to care for ourselves because I talk to OTs around the world who need to do more of this. But I think we're a bit tired of hearing about how we should engage in self-care. It sounds like another thing to put on the to-do list that is far too long already. An afterthought, a use of leftover time and energy. Do you have any of that? Because I don't. Just like I should exercise, I should meditate, I should have a lower BMI, I should get outdoors more often, I should spend less time on my phone, I should read more, I should prepare healthier meals, I should call my mom, shave my legs, have sex, eat fewer processed foods, follow current events. Volunteer my time, donate to charity, use my time efficiently, not be wasteful, recycle. You get the picture. I'm a bit of a word nerd. Words are powerful. They evoke emotion and gain associations and evolution over time. So self-care. As an OT, it can mean ADLs and IADLs. In more common use, it can mean treating yourself to a bubble bath, a massage, a haircut, or a spa day. These are all good things, but they don't really address the deeper need for self-care or really recharge us. At the time of this recording, we are just going into 2023 very soon, and we are tired, we're stressed, we're empty, we're burnt out, we're overwhelmed, overworked, exhausted, under-resourced, underpaid, underappreciated, and losing hope. Our nervous systems are designed for acute bouts of stress followed by recovery, reconnection with community and safety. We are not built for sustained low to mid-level stress. Many of us were stressed before the pandemic. Now, a few years later, we aren't less stressed. It's just become our baseline. We're also not built to do it all alone. Many of us are caring for people at work, at home, and in our communities. The way I see it, self-care is the occupation. But what enables our occupational choices? It's our beliefs, our roles, our identity, our motivation, our values, our environments. I know we could dive into some really juicy discussions looking into self-care in the context of MOHO or CMOP, but I'll leave that to you to explore another time. I'm here to inspire deeper shifts. In order to truly care for ourselves in a sustainable, soul-filling, vitality-building way, we need to make more foundational shifts rather than put superficial self-care on the list. Let's talk about feeling worthy. Many of us who chose OT careers are natural nurturers. We're carers, achievers, doers, makers, cheerleaders, and creators. What made us so? Certainly our innate character has something to do with it, but also how were we nurtured in our upbringing? That has an impact too. think back to your formative years. What were you praised and rewarded for? Think about this. Really reflect. Press pause if you need to. What were the things your grandparents, parents, teachers, coaches, spiritual leaders, and other community members praising and rewarding or otherwise positively reinforcing you for? Like it or not, these things shaped how we derive self-worth and in turn, how we choose our occupations, big and small. I can think of myself as a child being praised for being such a good big sister, taking care of my much younger siblings, looking after my mom when she was struggling with emotions, getting her a cup of tea, taking care of other family, friends, kids when people were over visiting, that sort of things. Brene Brown talks about hustling for our worthiness. She says our lives are a collection of stories, truths, but who we are, what we believe, what we come from, how we struggle, and how we are strong. When we can let go of what people think and own our story, we gain access to our worthiness, the feeling that we are enough just as we are, and that we're worthy of love and belonging. If we spend a lifetime trying to distance ourselves from the parts of our lives that don't fit who we think we're supposed to be, we stand outside of our story and have to hustle for our worthiness by constantly performing, perfecting, pleasing, and proving. Our worthiness, or rather our sense of worthiness, lives inside our story. It's time to walk into our experiences and start living and loving with our whole hearts. Powerful. I think self-care is in how we care for our bodies, how we talk to ourselves, how we nurture our spirit, how we take care of our environment. The how and why we engage in the occupations of self-care are key here. Compassionately caring for all of ourselves unconditionally. That means regardless of what's happening around us. You don't earn self-care. You don't deserve a break. You require rest in order to function properly. So occupations, depending on their how and why, can have different motives or different impacts. I could run because I should and hate every moment of it, but darn it, I'm going to hit that SMART goal of running a marathon before I'm 50. That's not actually me. I don't like to run. Or I could run because movement feels good and it energizes me to be moving outdoors. Same occupation, different motivation. I could meditate because the changes in activity in my brain networks improve my focus and stress response, and this will make me more productive, and there would be less time wasted. Or I could meditate because a quiet, calm moment in the morning sets me up for an enjoyable day because I'm more present and connected. I could shame myself for all my negative critical thinking because I should be more positive. Or I could show myself kindness for having a human response to a human situation, or for struggling with the human condition, which is naturally imperfect. You could clean your house because your mother-in-law is coming over and will judge you for not having things just so. Or you could set up your environment to support feelings of safety and well-being. As a note, for if you're listening, we're not talking about my mother-in-law. This is other people's mother-in-laws. But do you see the difference here? It's the why, not the what, that sets the tone for true, deep care for yourselves. Let's go into self-compassion. Kristen Neff is a great resource in this area. Her website, self-compassion.org, has a lot of practical info, meditations, practices, that sort of thing, plus all the evidence. She's a self-compassion researcher. She describes self-compassion as having 3 parts. Found a nice little summary by Bernard and Curry. They wrote this in 2011. They say self-compassion has been recently defined by Kristen Neff. That was back in 2003, not that recent anymore. But as having 3 interrelated components that are exhibited during times of pain and failure. Each component has 2 parts, the presence of one construct and the negation of another. These concepts are 1, being kind and understanding toward oneself rather than being self-critical. The second is seeing one's fallibility as part of the larger human condition and experience rather than isolating. And the third is holding one's painful feelings and thoughts in mindful awareness rather than avoiding them or over-identifying with them. I think that self-compassion is an important foundation for self-care. This is what sets the tone for being kind to oneself, really treating yourself as you would a friend or a client from a place of understanding, relating, being mindful and aware, not judgmental. This is something we talk about a lot with the OTs in the Activate Vitality program. So many of the people I work with know they're struggling. They know they're spinning their wheels, overfunctioning, maybe even that they're stuck in perfectionistic patterns. And then they've been trying to shame themselves into doing better. Not surprisingly, shame doesn't work. Shame, especially if directed inward, is not a good motivator to be kinder to yourself or give yourself a break or take care of yourself. How can it be, really? So often it takes having an outside perspective, someone to model compassion and encourage you to engage in different patterns. Most of the OTs that I support are business owners of some kind, whether they've got big clinics or they're just at the ideas stage. It can be really beautiful to watch them transform through this process of becoming more aware of their patterns, aware of the thoughts and feelings that drive them, curiously exploring these day-to-day things that make up their lives. Often awareness stings, but we hold warm space for each other in the process, and we lend them our compassion while they find their own self-compassion. From this place of awareness plus self-compassion, they can make important fundamental shifts in how they see themselves and engage more intentionally in their relationships, their work, their business, and start truly taking care of their needs. If you need some of this to thrive and unhustle, let me know. I'm only accepting a couple more people in the program before 2023, and I have a special bonus of some extra one-on-one coaching for those who get in before the year is done. There's a link in the show notes to book a chat with me if you're interested. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast because I'm going to be dropping several episodes in the coming weeks to inspire you. As always, be brave, OTs.